YouTube? We are here for week 2 of the Huge Sack podcast, where we talk about the NFL, our opinions, our predictions, our thoughts on every game that happened in the previous week. It is week 2. Everybody played this week. I don't know. I thought I learned a lot more this week about the teams. What do you think, Luke? We got a couple games in here that kind of surprised me, but there are also a lot of games that were very, very predictable. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with that. They couple surprising, some not so much, but
Yeah.
it'll. I don't know. I know it was only the second week, but things are kind of starting to settle in where they were thought to be.
Right. And that's kind of what I got out of this week. You're starting to see the teams that aren't going to be performing this year perform poorly. I thought that last weekend was week 1 was an incredible opening week of football. I thought there was a lot of very, very good games. This week, there not as many great games, but there were still some bangers. So we can dive right in. The first game we're going to go over is the New York Giants and the Washington football team. Yeah, Washington football. The fucking Redskins. It's the fucking Redskins. I did not watch this game, but we can discuss. I predicted the Giants to win this game. Luke was on the Washington side. I don't know. Tell me what you see from the stats here, Luke.
Overall, it's pretty close to even, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the score shows that.
Like the score shows, yep. Looking at the Giants with Daniel Jones, this is his second year in the league. He's not doing anything outstanding, but he's definitely not doing horrible. The thing I'm noticing is that he is getting no help, basically, from his rushing game. Was supposed to be one of the top running backs in the league, and not much out of him.
Hey, man, shout out to Daniel Jones, actually, because this man ran for 100 yards. 95. He ran for 95 yards, averaging over 10 yards a rush. He is fully putting the team on his back right now, and maybe that's why his stats don't show that great. There were a lot of other people putting in work on the receiving end, it looks like. They have a good receiving group. It just doesn't look like their production is coming out of Saquon Barkley that they were expecting.
I think that's probably the biggest thing, because if it continues to be Daniel Jones, he's going to end up getting hurt as a quarterback if he keeps having to run for that much.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't actually think he's that fast of a quarterback.
I imagine he's faster than you and I, but
right, but
he's not Patrick Mahomes, he's not Lamar Jackson.
No, he's not supposed to be a rushing a rushing quarterback. I mean, you're supposed to.
He is still a young guy, so I mean, they let the younger ones rush a little more, like how you won't see Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger really do so much.
Do you think that comes down to trust? Like you would prefer he runs the ball 5 yards than throws an interception, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, you would prefer it over an interception, but.
Right. Are you nervous that he's going to throw interceptions or something? Is he not throwing the ball?
I am seeing that he's 22 for 32 with 249 yards and a touchdown.
Well, yeah, and all of his
That's
receivers are averaging over 10 yards a catch.
yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just that can't be the only thing in this league.
I agree.
Your receivers, like we said, we didn't watch the game, but I'm sure with some of these higher yard receivers, they always had to take a break, come out of the game, type of thing.
Yep.
You need to kind of get that running game going.
Yep. And another thing I'm seeing here is that, I don't know, we're talking about the Giants right now. Their kicker went 5 for 5. Um, so that's good. I'm not really sure what was all happening there, but hitting his field goals. And as a Vikings fan, I can't say the same. So that's why I brought that up. Anyway, we can go on to the Washington football team. This Heineke guy played pretty damn good.
Yep, he is a true rookie this year, as far as I know.
Looks like he's playing good. 34 for 46, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's not bad out of a young guy.
Once again, I see kind of lacking on the rushing side.
Yep.
I mean, they do have a touchdown rushing, but overall, the rushing in this game, the running backs did not seem to do very well overall.
Yep, 13 carry. Their best rusher is that Antonio Gibson. I will say you're averaging over 5 yards a carry. That's pretty good. We can deal with that. Just maybe push the ball a little bit more towards your run game. You gotta be able to open up those wide receivers so that they can do what they're supposed to do, and then everything runs smoothly. So if you could pump the ball a little more than what is it, fucking 22 times, rush the ball 22 times, I would say you could push 30, 40 rushes instead of 46 attempts on passing. Don't you think?
You could, and that's something to kind of think about. Because, I mean, I will say that neither of these two teams are probably going to go very far. I don't see it out of either of them.
Right.
But the Giants did have about 3.5 minutes more time of possession. So maybe if Washington could have run it a little more, kept
Control the clock a little better. Yep, control the clock a little better. I agree with you. Terry McLaurin. God, dude, I don't even know these fucking names. 11 receptions for 107 yards. You like to see receivers over 100 yards. That's good. Their receiving is actually quality as well. It seems like a lot of people are throwing the ball early in the season here, and no one's really has any interest in running the ball. And I don't know, that doesn't seem typical to me, or it doesn't seem practical to me, but it is typical. Field goal kicker, 3 for 3. I guess, yeah. If you want to start talking about team to team, your total yards, pretty dead even. Passing yards obviously goes in Washington's favor. Their quarterback played very good. Rushing was clear in favor of New York, but your quarterback is literally over half of your rushing yards.
The first downs are pretty similar. The third downs, I'm sorry, are pretty similar. Punts are about the same. Penalties and yardage wise is about the same. I think this game was entirely a toss up.
Yep, and I will say, I think something that probably came into play for Washington to win this game is they are 2 for 2 on fourth downs. I don't know what those fourth down plays looked like. I don't know if they were inches or 10 yards or whatever. Doesn't matter. They got it. So I feel like that is a very important part of this game, and that's probably what put them ahead of the New York Giants. I will also say Giants got sacked 4 times, probably because Daniel Jones didn't have anybody to throw to, but regardless. Washington football team comes out with a win here over the New York Giants, 30-29. Do you got anything else to say to that?
No, that game was Giants had a 50% shot, Washington had a 50% shot.
Yep, I agree with that.
Played each other 10 times, they'd each win 5.
Yep. All right, so next up we got the Raiders and the Steelers. Now this one actually, I like the Raiders this year. I think that they're going to be a very, very good team this year. Derek Carr is doing his thing like he should be. Hasn't gotten injured yet this year, so
it's a big plus.
That is a big plus. I guess what did you think about this? You had the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game. What are your thoughts?
I kind of had, I don't want to say hope for the Steelers because I don't actually care too much about the Steelers, but I gotta find that game again.
Something I will say about the Raiders is, just like all the other teams, rushing was dog shit. It was so bad, dude. Everybody under 3 yards a carry. You rush the ball 25 times, and no one can get over 3 yards.
Yeah.
Awful.
So I don't know. I had hope for the Steelers just because they beat the Bills week 1, and the Bills have been a pretty decent team the past few years.
Yep.
But yeah, just to get back to what you're saying, if you actually go to the overall stats, there is less than 100 yards rushing in the entire game.
Yep.
Both teams combined.
That's gross.
That makes sense to me.
No.
Yep.
And then on top of that, so first of all, let's back up a second. You can basically take rushing out of this. I mean, you can ignore all these running backs because one of your running backs is fucking, I don't know. Yeah, Derek Carr is tied for second for most rushing yards with 9. It's not good. Your lead rusher has 32 yards. I mean, you can't be proud of that. Henry Ruggs, he had a good game. 113 yards, 5 receptions, averaging 22.6, and he had a touchdown. Good game for him. Your receivers are pretty much all over 10 yards a catch, which is what you want to see. I like their receiving right now. That looks good to me. Any thoughts past that? Offensively?
Just got to kind of get the rushing back into it.
Yeah, you got to try. You only rush the ball 25 times. And 5 of them were your quarterback? 4 of them were your quarterback. Which is probably a scramble, I would assume.
Yeah, you would assume, but
you never know, I guess.
The receivers seem to do pretty well.
Yeah. So, Daniel Carlson, 4 for 4. Fuck the Vikings for not keeping him because he is on a nasty streak right now. All right. We got our first guest on the Huge Sack podcast. Lance, my boy Lance. He will be helping us out. We got a huge Broncos fan over here. So now we have covered the Packers, the Vikings, and the Broncos after this podcast, and we'll keep growing from there. Keep getting different guests. Keep figuring stuff out. So he's gonna walk through this with us. Right now we are just discussing the Raiders stats, Lance. Talking about how the NFL is starting to look, has been looking pass heavy this year. Not a lot of rushing happening, and this game the rushing is just terrible. Luke commented that the rushing total in this game was under 100 yards. Both teams.
Yep.
Awful. It's awful. And
And I should know too, because on fantasy I got Josh Jacobs, and I had to sit him, so I picked up Kenyon Drake, and that was a waste of my time.
that was a waste of your time. Damn right, dude. You're averaging under 5. You're averaging if you're averaging under 5 yards a rush, your rushing wasn't good that day. As a starting running back. When I don't know, it just looks rough. We just discussed Daniel Carlson hitting his 4-for-4 field goals. Vikings should have never kicked him off their team because he's on a growth streak. And I think we're gonna hop over. Do you got anything to say on the Raiders, Lance? Past that,
I think we just can't forget that David Carr David Carr is the Derek Carr. Excuse me.
No, you're good.
Derek Carr is the leading passer. You can't overlook that.
Yeah. No, he's playing good. He's playing real good. You can't complain about that.
Until he potentially gets hurt.
Yep, and that's with your injury-prone quarterbacks. That's something that you're always going to be nervous about. It's just like the Vikings. I'm always nervous about them missing field goals, and look what happens. So, anyway, we can swing over to the Steelers. I will be the one to say it. Ben does not look good. Week 1, he looked awful. And missing passes, wide open receivers, just missing. Not performing good in my eyes. I can't really.
Very slow start. Yep.
Really, really slow start. We can jump right into the rushing. Everyone under 4 yards a rush. You only rushed the ball 14 times, and Juju ran one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta know what's going on. I don't know. And Luke said that before. It doesn't make sense. Why aren't you rushing the ball? I get, okay, so you don't have that great of running backs. Figure something else out. I don't know. Because your passing is nothing to brag about. Johnson had 105 yards. Great, but I don't know. It's tough to watch a team that should have a lot of potential perform as bad as they do.
Yeah, and I'm just jumping over and looking at last game. I'm looking at Ravens Raiders, and I mean Lamar Jackson ran for 86 total. Their other leading rusher 65. So it's not like the Raiders got a very stout run defense,
right?
Either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The rushing was just bad. It's terrible. If we just did the Giants and the Washington football team.
Sure.
They're what's his name? Daniel
Jones.
Daniel Jones was their leading rusher. That's pathetic. You can't have that unless it's a scrambling quarterback. You go out and you get Lamar because you know he's going to scramble.
Right.
You get Patrick Mahomes because you know that he's going to, that's not what they got him for.
Right.
So,
yeah, they're trying to depend on Saquon Barkley, but it's looking like he needs some time to recover from his injury last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's off to a very slow start.
Very, very slow start. Kicking on the Steelers side, 1 for 1. Can't 100%. Yeah, that's great, but he only had a shot at it once because your offense is not getting into the red zone. It's just a disappointing thing for the Steelers. They are currently 1-1, but in my eyes, I don't think they should be. I think that they should be 0-2. I think that week 1 they played terrible, and they showed it here too.
But Buffalo looked worse.
That's all it was. Buffalo bounced back like a motherfucker. So,
yeah.
I mean, you can't complain about that.
A lot of people, me included, thought Ben would retire after last year, so kind of don't know what he's still doing here.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, well, that's just the thing, too, is the Steelers, I mean, they started off hot last year. They're the last undefeated team, but going into the playoffs, they looked slow, and
Yeah,
that playoff game just
it's sloppy.
was sloppy for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking like that's going to be the case starting this year too.
Yep. We can go into the team-to-team stats. Everything was kind of just taken over by the Raiders. They're winning in every category: your total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, and yards per play. Third down efficiency wasn't great on either side, about 50%, a little less. Fourth downs, 1 for 1 for the Raiders and 0 for 1 for the Steelers. I have no idea what those plays looked like. Everything else, I mean, your penalties went down this week in general. Not a lot as many penalties as last week, but and then on top of that, the Raiders just controlled the ball. They controlled time, almost 10 more minutes with possession. They played a better game. I think that the Raiders are going to be very good contenders for playoffs this year. I know Lance probably doesn't like to see that, but
hey, I agree with it though. They just got to sustain it. We've seen so many times the Raiders start off hot, and come week 8, they start to slow down. So
yeah, and then on top of that, what are you gonna do if your quarterback gets injured? Derek Carr is
he's
controlling, and he's controlling their team right now in a way that gets them wins. Yeah, if you throw someone.
Yeah.
It's just like Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz walked off the field. Like, what are with these injury-prone quarterbacks? You got to be nervous about that. So, anyway, regardless, we're gonna hop into the next game here. Las Vegas Raiders win that one 26-17 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. To me, it kind of felt like the Raiders were gonna win the whole time, and Steelers looked like crap. So. Who do we got next? We got the Niners and the Eagles. All right. I didn't watch this game. It went the way I assumed it was going to. Maybe I thought that the Eagles were probably not going to do as well as they did. They kept it close at least. But that's kind of my thoughts. What do you guys think?
Just from looking at the score here and the breakdown by quarter, kind of looks like it was over a pretty boring game to watch. Kind of a defensive struggle. So, I mean, that's a pretty good sign. It kind of just looks like the Eagles made 1 or 2 more mistakes than the 49ers. Because this being within a touchdown, low scoring, it kind of seems just maybe a couple mistakes, and it honestly could have gone the other way.
What are your thoughts, Lance?
Yeah, I'm kind of I didn't watch it too closely either, but yeah, it just kind of looks like just not much movement of the ball, and I don't know if that's a kudos to both defenses.
Right.
Because, I mean, you're looking at an Eagles team that has now held to the Falcons to 6 points and the Niners to 17. So maybe Eagles defense is better than what we were expecting coming into the season. But, yeah, I'd agree with Luke that kind of looked like an overall boring game.
Well, I mean, you only had one score in the first or 2 scores in the first 3 quarters. And then...
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a little more action in the fourth quarter, which you got to expect that in a close game. You're going to be doing a little more. But let's start with the 49ers here. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't like his stats. 22 for 30, 189 yards, 1 touchdown.
Good completion percentage, but he's not stretching the field is kind of what I'm looking at.
That's what I'm seeing, too.
Not stretching the field, and I think it kind of goes back to maybe that Philadelphia defense is kind of doing better than expected.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jimmy Garoppolo, he's injury prone as well, but he is definitely not a bad quarterback.
No, it's because he's a pocket quarterback. He ain't gonna run the ball as much as your Patrick Mahomes
No.
or anybody.
No, he's not your mobile quarterback.
So like, I mean, it's easy to come back from. I feel like as a quarterback, it's easy to come back from an injury if you are a pocket quarterback, pending how good your offensive line is.
And I was just gonna say your offensive line needs to take care of you, and it looks like the Niners are doing that. Except 2 sacks for the Eagles, but
that's not that bad. Yeah. I mean, it's anything under 5 is honestly manageable.
Right.
But yeah, another game that it looks like rushing wasn't the best. Not terrible. This was a lot better than the last 2 games that we just talked about, but the Niners definitely didn't perform as well as I would have expected them to, and that's once again going off of Philly's defense. They must have been playing pretty good.
And that's when you look at the overall totals. Philadelphia wins in everything except passing yards, and that was only by about 10 yards. So this
is a toss-up.
Seems like it was a defensive struggle, and it was just 1 or 2 mistakes.
Yep.
Part of this game too, you got to remember that Niners lost Mostert, starting running back last game. So I think they're still trying to figure out who's going to be their guy for the rest of the year.
Okay.
And those are, from what little I watched the game, it seemed like so we got Elijah Mitchell and Hasty, and they were both, it seemed, pretty banged up throughout the game too. So I think that has to do with such little rushing yards, as their running backs are pretty banged up.
Yeah, I mean, you're rushing with a lot of your receiving. It seems like they're trying to fit in to places that they're not supposed to be, just in everywhere.
Right.
It's always tough when you lose a player like that, and you don't have one just on deck that's going to perform. So I will agree with that. I do agree with that. That is a very good point. Kicker 1 for 1 for San Francisco. I don't know. Do you guys see anything else that stands out to you, or with the 49ers? Not too much there.
No, let's they just, I mean, you don't hope it, but Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt. We can see Minnesota native, North Dakota State going Trey Lance.
Yeah, and that could happen.
He got a touchdown the first game.
He did. So he did.
They're keeping an eye on him.
Yep. Let's hop over to the Eagles. Hurts played like shit. 12 for 23, 190 yards. Passing was just awful in this game. Everything it was a very defensive game. After looking at these stats, you can absolutely tell. Looked like you got your quarterback is your number 1 rusher, which is not so. Yeah, he didn't play like shit. As a quarterback, he played like shit for passing. Rushing, you did fine, but you shouldn't have your quarterback as your number 1 rusher, unless I don't know anymore, dude. The NFL is weird now. All these new quarterbacks are coming in, and they're all running the ball for 100 yards a game. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to last long. They're not. Yeah. You're putting a lot of faith in your quarterback to do everything, and it's going to.
Well, I mean, this all started with. It didn't start with him, but the most recent one, Cam Newton, he's, as far as I know, he's not even in the league right now.
Yep. He is fully sidelined. I don't see anything else that I really need to talk about in this game. You had a couple good plays out of your receivers on the Eagles side. Rushing was not bad. It's just the quarterback thing. If you take the quarterback out of your rushing, you ran the ball 19 times for 70 yards. I don't like seeing that. I would rather see 30 to 40 rushing snaps for 5 yards of carry is what I'm looking for. But I don't know how much that is to ask. But Jake Elliott, 1 for 2 on his field goals. I don't know. It happens. You miss field goals sometimes. But let's go over to the team stats. Luke said it earlier. Eagles from the team stat looked like they should have won this game. Maybe it comes down to, penalty. Everything's close. It just looks like 49ers controlled the ball a little longer or controlled time a little better. And that's what those short passes are probably. That
It could be the short passes, and it could be the inexperience, we'll say, by Jalen Hurts.
There you go.
I'd agree with that.
He's still young. He's still young. I think he will be a good quarterback, but he is, in his second year? Third?
Yeah.
That
Second.
sounds right. I don't think he ever started last year either, though.
Right.
I think he started the last 2 games, but the last game he played 2 quarters, I think.
Yep.
So,
not much else to say about this game. Defensive. Go ahead.
I'm just going to finish with, I think, watch out for that Monday night game, Eagles at Cowboys, because I'm sure we'll go into it later. But as far as this Eagles team, these kind of stats, it's going to be hard to keep up with Prescott and the boys.
Yeah, Dallas is playing very, very good this year.
Dallas is the most impressive team out of the East.
Yep.
Thus far.
I agree. And that's a division rivalry, and it's kind of So anyway, 49ers take this one 17-11 over the Philadelphia Eagles. Defensive heavy game, not a lot of scoring. Closer than I thought it was going to be. 49ers probably need to pick up a little bit in areas, but they still get the win. They're 2-0. Eagles are 1-1. That's kind of all I need to say about that. So let's swing over to the Browns and the Texans. This outcome does not surprise me one bit. I think that the Browns are going to be very, very competitive this year. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to say?
Hey, the Texans look a lot better than I thought they were gonna.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But now Tyrod Taylor's down, and we saw in just this past game Thursday that I think that's gonna affect the team from here on out. But I mean, hey, Texans, you showed us something in the first 6 quarters of the year.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think overall you can just tell the Browns were the better team here. So, like you said, not a surprise in the final on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Lance brought it up. Tyrod Taylor's out. He was never, in my opinion, a great quarterback, but definitely better as he's still a starter. He's better than any backup.
Yep. And I mean, you can see that with their percentages. Taylor had 10 for 11, 125 yards. I mean, that's good. If he kept that up, they win that game. Maybe not, but they could have. They would have been a lot closer.
A lot closer, yep.
8 for 18, 102 yards. I mean, that's just not going to do it. I don't think that's you're under 50% with your completions and a pick. So as this is exactly what Luke said, your second string quarterbacks aren't going to perform as good as your starting quarterbacks, and Tyrod Taylor is a starting quarterback. Davis Mills isn't. It's simple.
Something I'm noticing, I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead, but receiving for the Texans, Brandon Cooks has 9 receptions, and everybody else has a maximum of 2.
Yep.
What that tells me is that they are forcing the ball into his hands,
Trying to get him to
and
make plays.
that makes it very easy for the opposite team to double and even triple cover somebody.
Yeah, and at this point, it's almost like, okay, uh, like I guess what I'm trying to get at is that yes, you're right when you say that, but also, how do you double team him when you have David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram? I mean, you do have a lot of other talented players that can make you. I mean, they can really make you hurt for one play. You can mess up one play, double team Cooks, and Philip Lindsay has an 80-yard touchdown.
Well, what that happens though is those are all running backs.
I get that.
Well, you double up receiver wise Cooks, and you're good on the receivers. Then you just need to have
I play zone, I guess.
That your linebackers can cover those backs coming out of the backfield.
Right. Yeah. You just play
I mean, I agree that they have other weapons. It's just the huge difference from 9 receptions down to the next one is at 2.
Yep. No, I agree. They're forcing the ball, and you can see they're doing the same thing with rushing. I get Mark Ingram is good. What happened to David Johnson, dude? What happened to that god of a running back that was literally everybody's first pick in fantasy like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think didn't he have a bad injury in Arizona?
Yeah, I remember.
When he was there. And
I don't remember.
I think he got hurt pretty bad. He was out for the season a couple years ago, I think. And
you guys can give me that excuse all day. Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and came back and broke records, okay?
Adrian Peterson so hits his kid with a switch. So
Yikes. Yeah.
Where do you want to go with it?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. The recovery thing, I don't know what kind of injury he had, but I know that ACL is bad.
I know you can always talk about Adrian Peterson. He's kind of an exception. I know he's not in the league this year, but David Johnson is kind of getting up there in age for running backs as well. Granted, Mark Ingram is too. My point is void, I guess.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like they did poorly. They just didn't get the ball that much. Mark Ingram, maybe they forced the ball a little too much to him, and that's why his average yards is a little lower. But David Johnson, 6 for 25 yards. That's not bad. I mean, if you pump the ball to him a little more and you're getting 4 yards down, that's enough to get a first down on 3 plays.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's looking like they're going to need a quarterback for the Texans to play or compete this year. They are. I will say, if they end up with a quarterback that can lead the team and they can play the whole season with them, I think that they will be close to making playoffs. I won't say they'll make playoffs, but I think that they could. Especially with that 7th team. Is it 7 now? They take 7 from both sides?
Yep.
So I think with that, they would have an opportunity to. It just kind of depends on their quarterback situation, in my eyes.
I think the field's gonna start taking care of them, and I think this hot start for the Texans is gonna be quickly forgotten.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair too. That happens a lot. So
I am gonna just say watch for the news on Cam Newton again, and yeah,
that's fair.
Could be a landing spot for him.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
And maybe Cam could come in and do something. We haven't seen Cam perform since he lost that Super Bowl.
True.
And you can talk about that, Lance.
Oh yeah, I can.
All right. So let's swing over to the Browns real quick. Baker Mayfield, 19 for 21, 213 yards. I love that stat. Interception, a little blemish, but I like Baker Mayfield. Literally, my favorite quarterback in the NFL is Baker Mayfield. I don't even know why. I just like him.
Well, I mean,
He's
the Browns had so many bad quarterbacks. Uh, it's kind of nice to see them do well
Yeah.
for once.
mhm.
I'm just looking at all of the Brown stats right now, and I absolutely love what they're doing. They have a tandem team of running backs at almost 50-50 on carries. Little differences in the yardage, but it's a good mix. Nobody's getting too tired, too injured.
Yeah, and
And
if you're gonna pump the ball towards Chubb or towards Hunt, um, it's not like when they go out for a break. Okay, so like let's take the Vikings for example. We have Dalvin Cook. Okay, so when Dalvin Cook is in the game, he's a threat, and everybody knows it. Okay, but now you take him out so he can take a breather, and you put in Madison, and you kind of sit there and you're like, okay, well, we could
maybe a pass play.
they're probably going to pass the ball, or we could play like a soft zone with the linebackers, and if they hand the ball off, like our line will stuff him at max 2 yard gain, and then we stop him at a 3 yard gain or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like you don't really have to worry about him as much. Now, when you have two running backs like Chubb and Hunt, you got to be concerned, no matter who's in there.
a true dual threat running backfield.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and so I do love that. And then on top of that, how do you complain about any of their receiving?
No,
Yeah.
that was the thing. They spread it around very well. Granted, I gotta be honest, most of these names I don't really know. So that probably means the other teams don't necessarily know them either. So you never know who to double cover.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a zone or it's like single man coverage, and that leaves guys open.
They're all worthy of starting in like for the Browns, but none of them are like star players. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with you. They do.
These guys they're producing, and you get Odell Beckham Jr. back next week.
Yeah. Now you're
Browns
gonna.
are good.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You're gonna
Yep.
double coverage on Odell, and then the Browns do the same shit they've been doing for 2 weeks.
Right.
So and like yeah, the Browns are 1-1, but their loss was fucking near a win. They played
to the Chiefs.
Yeah, they played great. I love the Browns and what they're doing. The head coaching is phenomenal, and I gotta love that guy. That was our defensive coordinator that brought us to an NFC championship as a Minnesota Vikings. And I think that he's doing an incredible job of coaching this team. Got a lot of young players. I don't know what else. What else to say about them? They're playing really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the team stats here. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the Browns are going to win this game. Total yards, Browns. Passing yards, it was in favor of the Texans, but that's because the Texans couldn't rush the ball, correct? Is that what we decided?
They couldn't really rush, and I mean, everybody's going to start passing towards the end of the game when you're down. So
Yeah.
they're trying to look for the big play, and I mean, they probably get a few longer passes, but
yeah. Texans took 9 penalties for 75 yards. Still better than a lot of games we saw last week. Browns controlled the time. They controlled the clock for sure. And then your fumbles lost and your interceptions, one for each team on both of those. So like they just cancel out. A lot more punting going on for the Texans, and not too much past that. It just looks like the Browns were just in control the whole time.
Yep.
But also from these stats, if you go up and look at the quarter scores, 7-7, 7-7, and then the third quarter is where the Browns won. So I don't even know, man. They must have just controlled the third quarter like a motherfucker, right?
Yeah, looking that way.
I guess.
It comes down to it.
Yeah. So I don't know what else you guys got to say on that. Nothing too much. Yeah.
Well,
Ah,
we're gonna be seeing the Browns in the playoffs, but
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I got.
Browns are very, 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 very competitive this year, and I love to see that. I am very excited to keep watching this team, especially with Odell when he comes back. So the Cleveland Browns take this one 31-21 over the Houston Texans. Browns still look good. Houston, they have a couple things they need to figure out. So let's hop into the next game here. This one's going to be fun. Lance, you could go ahead and take us away.
Which one's that?
Denver and Jacksonville.
Denver and Jacksonville. All right.
This is Team Teddy now.
Absolutely.
Okay, hold on. My app is slow.
Yeah.
Well, Denver had a very slow start, so Jacksonville scored early, but after that, Denver was in complete control the whole game because then that second touchdown was kickoff return. But let's see. I think, yeah. I mean, Teddy's taking control of the ball. No turnovers yet. I think they have one fumble in the first game, but this game they were clean. Trevor Lawrence throws 2 interceptions, and yeah, the running game isn't super great. See that 32 total. Oh wait, no, sorry. Yeah, 95 yards, 96 yards total.
Yeah. You know what? Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. First of all, Lance, I think I told you right at the beginning of the season that you're going to like Teddy. What do you think so far?
I mean, he's taking care of the ball. He's keeping drives going. And what I like to see in this game, too, is he was stretching the field. Had a lot of deep shots to Sutton.
Yep.
He didn't only connect on one of them, but, I mean, racking up 160 yards for Sutton.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great. You never complain about a quarterback or a receiver that with that many yards. Anyway, what I'm getting at, and I think I told Luke this last week, is Teddy Bridgewater is going to thrive if you give him 10-yard slants, and that is where he is good. And there is nothing wrong with that kind of play. You control the ball, you control the time, and those passes are not, they're easy to hit as a quarterback in the NFL. I feel like I don't know, they're just hard to cover shit like that, especially if you have a quarterback that's gonna take care of the ball and not throw stupid passes. I will say he tossed it down the field a lot more than I thought he was going to week 2, especially. But
it was against the Jaguars, remember?
Yep. And that's probably something that they discussed in their practice for the week before this. So, what do you got to say about you said it, you talked about your running, not too much running going on, but it's not bad. I mean, you can't complain too much, especially if you're getting 160 yards out of one receiver. You don't really need the running. And I would like to see a lot more running. I would like to see a team with 100 yards. Every team should have 100 yards rushing as a group, at least. So that's something that I would like to see a little more of, but you can't complain about the game yet until they start stopping your receivers. Luke, what do you got to say on this?
I think Teddy Bridgewater needs to learn to take the glove off of his throwing.
That's Teddy Two Gloves. Shut up.
Weird.
And he gets the fucking the fucking like bright white gloves, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Teddy Two Gloves, man. It's more comfortable for him.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
It is a little odd, but he's been doing that since college, dude.
Well, right now he's a good quarterback.
He's
Loosen the weight a little bit by taking one of those gloves off.
Back up, dude. He did that for the Vikings in one of their games, and we got shit on. And then he put the glove back on, and we played a great game. He needs the glove.
That's the Vikings.
Yeah, that's true. Uh, Lance, you want to cap off the Broncos here, and then we'll switch over to the Jags?
Sure. Yep. I think Denver's 2-0 because Teddy is being a patient quarterback and he's taking care of the ball. And Denver's going to start playing some tougher competition, but it's good to see that they took care of 2 easy wins these first 2 weeks.
Yep, absolutely. Those are the ones that matter. You're gonna have competition coming up. 4 weeks of tough games. And I told you earlier this week, if they go 2-2, you take that in this next 4 games, because you got some.
Well, yeah, after this next one, because they got the Jets this weekend.
Oh,
After
right.
that,
Yep.
Then it gets.
Yep. But you got okay. So now go win against the Jets. You should.
Yeah.
If you go and lose against the Jets, now you're thinking, okay, well, what the fuck? So I guess we'll see. I have full confidence that Teddy will play good against the Jets, and you'll have a good win there. But if it doesn't go that way, then we have other questions. But that 4-game stretch, you're hoping for 2-2. I think that they could go 3-1 comfortably, and lose to the Browns is my prediction. But I don't know, with your divisional game against the Raiders, that those are always going to be competitive. But that's also pending Carr not getting hurt. I mean, that it's just something we got to discuss because it happens. And Teddy too. I mean,
Right.
so if everything stays healthy, I would be happy with a 2-2 after, or 2-3. Sorry, 3-2 after your next 5 games. I'd say you're sitting pretty.
I think we're sitting good. Yep.
Yep. Let's swing over to the Jags. Trevor Lawrence played like shit, but he's young.
He's on the Jaguars. What can you expect?
It's not too much to what are you gonna say? He number 1 overall pick, correct?
Yep.
And just inexperience is shining through a little bit. I think that he's going to be a great quarterback once he kind of figures stuff out. Get a few more weapons around him. I see Laquan Treadwell down there. Maybe utilize him a little more. Anyway.
1 target, 0 yards.
Freaking Laquan.
Yep. Nothing great to say about Jacksonville
to all the
here.
viewers who don't realize this, Phil has named his cat Laquan.
Not after Laquan Treadwell. I just like the name.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, whatever. I don't see too much great coming out of these stats for the Jaguars. They kind of played like shit. Looks
3 Broncos sacks. Not many first downs. Not many rushing yards. They're leaning on Trevor a whole lot.
He's in that's his second game.
And it's his second game. Yeah.
I will also say kicking 0 for 2. I feel pretty confident saying that Josh Lambo might be trying to find a new team here pretty quick if he keeps playing like that. I don't know, Lance. Were those like normal field goals? That like how far were they? Were they long?
Actually, I don't think they were very far.
He just choked them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be doing that.
And with the 13, he missed. He missed the extra point too. So.
That's got to be better. Jags look poor. I'm comfortable saying that. I don't like anything. If you go over look at the team stats, Broncos are rolling through the Jaguars with everything. 400 yards in total offense. Sorry, 398 yards in total offense for the Broncos, and the Jaguars didn't crack 200. That's tough. Broncos rushing yards 96. You could do a little better there, but if you're passing for 300 yards and giving Teddy 2 touchdowns, I would say keep doing what you're doing until someone stops your receivers and your quarterback. Then you need to start pushing the ball. Also, I will say, what the fuck, Lance? 10 penalties for 101 yards. What the fuck?
The Broncos.
Yeah.
It's a pretty dirty football team.
What's happening there? Is that defensive penalties or offensive penalties? Or a pretty good
To
split.
be honest, not many. I don't think not many defensive. Probably just a lot of
Offsides.
fault.
Sorry.
Easy cleanups.
Yep. Just watch the ball a little better. But if I swing over to Jacksonville, 7 for 70, that's barely better. So I do see 101 yards there. I don't know if that's a red zone penalty or something, but
they must have had something.
Pass interference where it's close to the spot of the ball.
It's either pass interference or a red zone penalty where they pushed it half the distance. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think probably the key to what, I guess, the biggest thing I am seeing is almost 40 minutes of time of possession for the Broncos. You don't see that crazy often. I mean, Jacksonville barely cracked 21. That probably came from their 2 interceptions that were thrown by Trevor Lawrence, but I guess, yeah. I don't know, Lance, go ahead and cap this off, and we can go on to the next game.
Sure. I guess, like I said before, Denver took care of 2 easy wins in the first 2 weeks, and going to start seeing some better competition down the road. As far as Jacksonville, just you need to keep Trevor's head up, making a lot of mistakes early on, but he's a good quarterback, so lots of question marks still with Jacksonville and Denver, but I guess we just got to see how the season unfolds.
Yeah, you don't really know the teams until about week 5. And then even that, shit can change. Someone gets hurt, someone gets, anything can happen. You've seen that before Patrick Mahomes, you've seen that out of the Chiefs so many times. They go 5-0 and then they just shit the bed the rest of the season. I mean, Lance can attest to that. We've had conversations about that before. It's the Chiefs do that, or did before Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see in the next couple weeks what these teams kind of look like. I think that Denver will be competitive this year, and they do have a shot, especially with that 7th spot, to make playoffs. So we'll go from there. Denver Broncos win this 23-13 over the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we can swing on into the next game here. Next game was definitely not what I was expecting. This is the Saints and the Carolina Panthers. I was expecting, and Luke was expecting in our predictions, that the Saints would win this game. No problem. But it looks to me like McCaffrey is doing totally controlling everything, and Sam Darnold fits in really good in Carolina. I don't know what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, the Saints defense was completely dominant week 1 against a pretty shitty Packers team. So I kind of figured that defense would keep it up. But I guess maybe they were just looked so good because the Packers did so shitty week 1.
Yep. Lance, kind of agree?
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Thought the Saints were going to look better. We might have old Jameis Winston back.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. It's a lot of Buccaneers Jameis Winston here.
Yeah, but I agree too in the fact that I think we're seeing a different Sam Darnold with the Panthers than we saw with the Jets.
Yep, absolutely. I think he has a lot more to work with. When I say a lot more to work with, I mean one player. But he does have other players that are doing very good for him. I mean,
he's throwing the ball too. Yep.
Yeah. 26 for 38, 305 yards for Sam Darnold. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of production out of Christian McCaffrey. I don't think that's going away for another 5 years. He's going to be great for a while, unless he gets hurt.
Well, he did get hurt Thursday, but...
Okay, but how bad?
He's going to be out for a few weeks, I saw.
Really? I didn't notice.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
He's kind of injury prone. I had him all last year on fantasy and didn't do shit for him.
Okay, well, I'm a fucking dumbass. I give him one more year, guys. Okay, so let's start with the Saints here. I don't see too much out of Jameis Winston. 111 yards, 11 for 22, 50%, 2 interceptions, played like shit. Ran the ball for 19 yards. No running back is doing anything that I want to see. Their passing was poor. And you didn't kick the ball one time. You made an extra point, I guess. It kind of just looks like shit to me. Saints play like shit.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yep. Not too much more to say about it.
Yeah.
I really don't think there's much more to say about the entire game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just bad.
Yep. And if you go to let's go to the team stats. We're going to skip over the Panthers. We know what the Panthers are doing. They're playing good. 128 total yards from the Saints. How did they even score? Through 4 quarters?
It was kind of into probably garbage time, so they started pulling starters. I'm going to be honest, that's probably what happened.
Yep. Well, it's in the last quarter they scored their 7 points. So 128 yards from them. Panthers, 383. 80 yards passing for the Saints. 294 for the Panthers. That's incredible. 48 rushing. 89 rushing for the Panthers. I would have liked to see more, but like you guys just said, McCaffrey's hurt. Whatever. Still got the win. 0 for 4 on 4th downs with the Saints. Or 0 for 2 for 4th downs with the Saints. Got to pick that up. That might have been towards the end, too, with some junk time. Or third quarter or whatever, when they're just trying to get shit going. I have no idea. Penalties, 11 for 115 on the Saints. What? Oof. Gotta clean that shit up. What the fuck happened between week 1 and week 2 with the Saints? Was it just because the Packers played so poorly?
I think it was.
That's tough. And then this is the same thing. 40 minutes with the ball, the Panthers, and 20 for the Saints. Same concept. Look, the Panthers were just better. Saints looked like dog shit. And what else you guys got to say? Anything else?
Nope, nothing on this game.
I don't think I got anything else either.
Not too much past that. Carolina Panthers win this 26-7 over the New Orleans Saints. This one surprised me. Panthers are 2-0 and the Saints are 1-1 now. This one kind of surprised me, but makes sense if you go back 2 years and look at Jameis Winston. So we are going to swing over to the Rams and the Colts. Didn't watch this game. Looks like Carson Wentz walked out early. I know. He was at practice today, from what I saw. I don't know if you guys pay attention to that, but I got a notification that he did practice today. So I have no clue what they got lined up for him. Something I got to point out is Matthew Stafford. I am so happy that he has a team to work with now, finally. because
Yeah.
he went through hell in Detroit for so long and just dealt with it. And everybody knew he was a fucking good quarterback, but like he couldn't do anything, you know? So I'm happy that he's playing for the Rams right now and he has a lot to work with here. Cooper Kupp, amazing game for him. Well, not for him. Amazing game for a receiver. That's pretty normal for Kupp, isn't it?
I don't know if you would ever consider 160 yards normal.
Right, but outperforming everybody is typical for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, with Stafford, we might be seeing a lot of that this year.
Yeah, well, Stafford hasn't had a receiver to throw at since Megatron, right? Calvin Johnson.
Sounds about right.
Yep. He's had Golden Tate and Marvin Jones, but
no, there's no one. Okay, so triple team them.
Not the caliber of Johnson, and looks like we could throw Kupp in that.
Yep, I agree with you. They played good. Matt Gay 2 for 2 on field goals. Long of 38, so I'm not like crazy impressed. I guess he just kicked field goals that he should have made. Let's swing over to the Colts. Carson Wentz 20 for 31, 247 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I don't think that this was a bad game for Carson Wentz.
No, the interception, it was a funky play. I think this one was a little shuffle pass that he maybe should have just taken the sack on, but he tried to just fit it in a tight window and got picked up.
Yeah,
it did happen on the 3-yard line, so Colts fans are probably kicking themselves right now. But
right. Jonathan Taylor, he played good.
Yeah.
No, I didn't really, but he played okay, I guess.
50 yards.
Not much else to say on their side. Either Colts didn't play great, but they didn't play. No one played terrible in this game. This is just a close game.
Unfortunate exit for Wentz. Could have had a game-winning drive, but.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a tough pill to swallow on his side. But what are you gonna do when you're injury prone like that? And I feel like that's almost a fault of his own, or at least a fault of the. I don't know. Do you blame the coaching in Philadelphia for not teaching him how to take tackles, or what? You know, when you're getting a NDSU quarterback that he's gonna not. You know what I mean? A lot of rushing coming out of NDSU as a quarterback, so.
I guess it could be that. And I mean, he was hurt pretty bad last year, and I mean, he's still trying to run.
I mean, it's not like he can't be a pocket quarterback. He's tall enough.
Yeah,
I think
he's gotta learn that he's a pocket quarterback from now on.
Yeah, it's like an own mental thing. Like he needs to tell himself that. So anyway, that's kind of all I got to look at here. If you go over to the stats, they're pretty dead even across the board. Penalties were low. Time of possession was similar. They both turned the ball over twice. So it's, I mean, kind of all looks the same to me. Little unfortunate for the Colts, 0-2. Could have been 1-1, and the Rams maybe got a little lucky there, but they are 2-0 here. So, I don't know. You guys got anything to cap that off, or can we go on to the next one here?
I think we can move on.
Sweet. So the Los Angeles Rams win this one 27-24 over the Indianapolis Colts. Let's swing into the next game here. We got the Bills and the Dolphins, and the Dolphins laid a fucking egg. This is the first shutout this year, correct?
Yep. Tua got hurt in the first quarter.
Yep.
So.
Yep. You only threw the ball fucking 4 times.
Yeah.
And actually, their backup didn't perform too bad. I don't complain that.
Jacoby Brissett has played before in the league. He's kind of an older backup now, I think. So I mean he knows what he's doing, but once again, not a starter.
Right. And then, sorry. And then you swing over to the Bills side. Josh Allen actually didn't play that great.
No, he's
as a quarterback.
Had a slow start.
Well, on top of that, I mean, where did you get 35 points out of? I'm looking at their stats right now, and I'm like, okay, at rushing, I guess.
Yeah, there's 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing.
Yeah, just poor defense on it. It looks like the Miami's defense just played like crap. If I'm being honest, because like there's nothing special about any of the stats that the Bills are putting up, but the score is 35-0. You know what I'm saying? I guess you could go to turnovers, but the Bills turned over the ball twice too. Time of possession, dead even. Yeah. Maybe this is just I would probably go as far to say as that the Bills are just maybe more experienced or more ready than the Dolphins are for this season. I know that the Bills have a lot of drive, especially after last week. The Bills have a lot of drive to make a deep run in playoffs because of how well they did last year. So maybe they were a little more prepared than the Dolphins were. But the Dolphins won last week, so
against the Patriots.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, and we looking at the stats, nothing really shocking to me. So I think I'm gonna cap this one off right away too. There's nothing really special to say about this, just the boring game.
Not much more. Yep. I'll get one more game with you guys, and then I might have to head out.
Okay, that sounds good. Buffalo Bills take this one 35-0 against the Miami Dolphins. Our next game is the Patriots and the Jets here. We're going to kind of cruise through these now. So, Patriots and the Jets. I don't know. I don't like the Patriots, but they outperform the Jets. This is typical.
It's the same old Jets.
Yep. I agree. What are you going to say to that?
Horrendous half for Zach Wilson. Well, just bad quarterback play to start the season.
Yep. And you know what's crazy to me is that the Jets are winning in every team stat when it comes to yards. How the hell did that happen?
Patriots didn't need it. I don't know.
The game just doesn't make sense to me. But this was expected in my eyes. Mac Jones. I don't even know this. Is he a rookie?
He is, yeah.
Okay, he was picked top 3, wasn't he?
Nope. 10th, I want to say.
Okay.
Is he the one that people are making fun of because he looks like he's got a dad bod?
Yes.
Gotcha. He didn't perform great, but he did enough to win, I guess.
The dad bod should be good for pocket passing and not running.
Yeah.
Maybe help him in the long run.
Yeah, that's why Ben Roethlisberger is still playing. If I'm being honest with you.
He's also huge.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
4 for 4 kicking for the Patriots. That's good. Love to see 100% there. The Jets, Zach Wilson played fucking awful. 4 interceptions. Ouch. 0 touchdowns and 210 yards. 19 for 33. Not that good. You're not going to win games if you're throwing 4 interceptions a game.
They need to try and get that Corey Davis more involved. He was huge in their week 1 meeting with whoever they played. Granted, they still lost, but
Yeah, only two receptions. Yeah, I agree with you. Uh, nothing much to say about the Jets here. Either they played terrible. Their quarterback threw 4 interceptions. I don't know if this is because no one's getting open or if he's just making poor decisions. But you can't go in and start in the NFL and throw 4 interceptions and expect to start winning games. If you go over to the team stats, like I was saying earlier, the Jets actually outperformed the Patriots in this one when you look at the team stats, but the 4 interceptions to 0 turnovers on the Patriots side is going to turn the tides there. So 1 for 3 on 4th downs. They got one, but that could be better too. Anything else to say on this one, guys? Not too much. Lance, are you going to stick with us for another one, or are you going to take off here?
I think I'm going to take off.
All right. Yeah. You are in this group now in Discord. So I'll just let you know when we're doing the podcast, and you can hop in whenever you want. Does that sound good? Okay.
Sweet. Good. All right. Thanks, boys. It was fun.
Yeah. Have a good one, bud.
Yep. We'll see you.
Yeah. Bye. All right. So Patriots win that one 25 to 6 over the New York Jets. Let's swing over to the Bengals and the Bears real quick. Let's peel through these, Luke.
Yeah, let's speed it up a little bit.
Joe Burrow throws 3 interceptions. This is why they lost the game. He didn't play terrible past that, but he did play pretty bad. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. You're not going to win a game if you're throwing 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
I
don't know if did Andy Dalton get hurt? I see that Justin Fields played for a little bit, and they both did pretty poor in passing.
Yep, and
it comes down to the Bears actually seem to run the ball pretty well.
Right.
But, overall, I think it came to the Bears defense, which nobody's going to quite top the 1985 Bears, but Bears are always pretty good defensively.
Right. To me, this seemed like a game that could have went either way, but it just comes down to those three interceptions from the Bengals, and I think that's why they lost this game.
I agree. I know the Bengals won last week. I don't think they should have. Bengals, I don't foresee being a very good team. I don't think playoffs.
I think they are in contention for cracking top 20 in the NFL, but not playoff status. But you could say that with a lot of teams. It's basically you're above the Jets and the Giants, but you are below all the teams that are going to make playoffs, like your Browns and whatever. So, I have nothing too much to say about this. The Bengals hit a 53-yard field goal. Good for them. The Bears, 2 quarterbacks, they're having some quarterback issues. It's looking like Justin Fields is going to start this week. But we will see. Nothing past that. The team stats, total yards are pretty similar, 50-yard difference. Passing yards, Bengals had, but with that, you throw 3 interceptions. Rushing yards, the Bears took over. It looks like the defense on the Bears side is just going to be the reason that they win this game. So, you good with that?
Yep.
All right. So the Chicago Bears win this one 20-17 over the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, both teams are 1-1 now. Let's swing to the Falcons and the Bucks, and this is more of Tom Brady doing Tom Brady stuff. I would say Matt Ryan played good, but he threw 3 interceptions.
I mean, that is Matt Ryan's game, though. He's, as far as I can remember, he's always pretty high yardage. So, I mean, with 46 pass attempts, that's you're going to get a couple interceptions. That's 3 is a little much for the game, kind of like we talked about
Yep.
last one, but
Their kicker is real good. The Falcons kicker is real good. 5 for 5. It's that Young Ho. Yeah.
I don't know why it's pronounced Wei, but I remember, I think, or at least the announcers pronounce it Young Wei Koo.
Yeah, he seems to be performing good for them. Matt Ryan left the game, I guess, for 2 plays.
I'm seeing that too. Maybe just right at the end, last drive.
They pull starters, yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, let's swing over to the Bucks. Tom Brady fucking still being a god at football, which pisses me off, but 5 touchdowns.
Yep. And that's actually kind of high for him in recent years in a single game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's spreading the ball out, so that's good, but that's pretty high for him.
Right.
Nowadays. Usually he's good for about 2 to 3 and can rely on everybody else, but looks like the running game wasn't doing great. So Tom Brady's definitely one you can put the ball in his hands and he'll make it work.
Well, and especially if you have Mike Evans, Godwin, and Gronkowski. Those are your 3 players that scored touchdowns. It's pretty easy to throw to those guys if you are Tom Brady. So I expected this. We both expected this, and I'm okay with this. This is absolutely exactly what I expected from this game.
One little note I'm going to throw in is that they do have
they do have what?
The Buccaneers have Antonio Brown, and I know it's only week 2, and he was on the team last year, but it seems like Tom Brady, I assume, has finally tamed him, because you always hear about off-field antics typically with Antonio Brown, and I haven't really heard much about him.
Yep.
Since he's been
he hasn't been doing too much on the field, but that is because he has been questionable for these games. They're not practicing with him. Well, they are practicing with him, but they're giving him less snaps at practice because he's got some injuries going on. I have him on my fantasy right now, and he's always changing from questionable to out to questionable to in, and so he's dealing with some stuff. Maybe we'll see a little more production out of him later on in the season.
Yep.
If you go over to the stats, actually the stats look pretty similar here. I think it comes down to those 3 interceptions that were thrown by the Falcons, and that's why the score looks so skewed like this. But stats were pretty damn close throughout the game. And actually, the game was a lot closer than it looks like right now. The game was a lot closer than it looks when you look at the final score. Because in the 4th quarter, Tampa Bay put up 20 points. Mm-hmm. And Atlanta put up 0. So they kind of ran away with this one in the 4th quarter. Do you have anything else to say on this, or can we?
I think we can move on. We mentioned it last week. I like what they're doing with Cordero Patterson.
Yep, absolutely.
So would be nice from him.
Right. Yep. And he is their like shining star in my eyes. So, anyway, the Tampa Bay Bucks take this one 48-25 over the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 0-2, and the Bucks are 2-0 this year so far. Now we get into the Vikings Cardinals. I'm gonna take over on this one. Okay.
You go for it.
The Vikings. After last week, I did not expect to perform as well as they did this week. Dalvin Cook looked a lot better. He had 131 rushing yards on over 22 carries. That is very good. Kirk Cousins ran the ball very good and took care of the ball. Threw for 3 touchdowns, 244 yards, 22 out of 32. I thought they came out strong. They did come out strong. Second play was a touchdown for the Vikings. Justin Jefferson needs to learn to get a little more open on a lot of his passing. He's being tightly covered, which he shouldn't be because we still have Adam Thielen, and Adam Thielen's getting double coverage if anybody's getting double coverage. Adam Thielen, not as much production out of him as I would like to see, but they kept it close enough to put them in position to win the game. And guess what? We missed the field goal. This has been something that has been haunting the Vikings for years, and it is continuing to haunt the Vikings. I think that they need to pick up a veteran kicker like they did for the last 2 seasons, because he did perform good for us in the last 2 seasons. But still, it's just something that we can't have happen. He missed an extra point and the game-winning field goal with 1 second left. This should have been a Vikings win, and it ended up being a Vikings loss. So the Vikings have potential this year to do stuff, because I have the Cardinals pretty high up on my list for teams that are competitive for the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the Cardinals right now. Kyler Murray is very, very good. He did throw 2 interceptions, but he made a lot of decisions that he doesn't normally make. He is a very, very talented quarterback, and he's very good at getting out of the pocket and making time for himself. I will say he was sacked, I think, 3 times. He was sacked 3 times, and I think every one of them was Danielle Hunter. Does that sound right? Every one of them was Danielle Hunter. So Danielle Hunter is playing very good for the Vikings' injured defense right now. We are missing a lot of players on our defense that I would like to have back. But, after this game, yeah, it sucks that we lost, but it gave me a lot of hope after week 1, because I thought we should have rolled through the Bengals. Cardinals, back to the Cardinals. Not a lot of rushing going on. Their rushing in the first half was pretty bleh, and they picked it up in the second half and started making plays. They have good receivers over there to help out Kyler Murray. DeAndre Hopkins, I would assume, was double coverage most of the day. So he didn't have that much production, but when he did, it was key moments. So he's obviously going to be good. And then, I mean, there's a lot of players for Kyler to throw at. And then we can go over to the team stats. And these look pretty even. The passing yards are obviously going to go in favor of the Arizona Cardinals, just because Minnesota was doing better at rushing and we were running the ball more often. I don't know. I just feel like the Vikings should have had this one. And I feel like a lot of people think that, and it just comes down to kicking. What are your thoughts?
It's kind of like the message I sent you last Sunday, where Vikings should have won, but it kind of just seems that kickers, when they come to the Vikings, that's where they go to die.
Yep. And also, let's go ahead and say they wouldn't even have been in the situation where they need to kick a game-winning field goal if he didn't miss the extra point. It would have been a tied game, and we go into overtime.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is there. Something needs to get found out about their kicking.
And maybe it was because we were down that he missed the field goal. He was nervous because he knew he had to make it, or else we lost. So if it was a tie game, maybe he has a little more confidence when they're trying to kick that field goal to win the game, because he knows that there's at least overtime if he misses. Anyway, comes down to kicking haunting the Vikings, and the Cardinals are still performing good. They played a pretty bad game, but they still came out with the win. I think the Cardinals are going to be a very good team this year, and they're continuing to show it. So any other things to say on this, Luke?
Nope, I agree that the Cardinals look like they're going to be pretty good. Vikings have had 2 heartbreakers in a row. I don't know if they seem to be playing to the level of their opponent.
Correct. Yep.
But then
not coming through. Yep.
They're not finishing.
Yep. So I think they need to play higher. They should have rolled through if they played like they did this last week against the Bengals, that's a blowout. So All right, so the Cardinals beat the Vikings 34-33. Vikings are 0-2. Cardinals are 2-0. Let's swing on into the Titans and Seahawks game. This was a fun one for me too. Can I do this one real quick again? So I actually didn't catch this full game. I just caught the last couple minutes and overtime because it was during the Vikings game. To me, it seemed like the Seahawks were a clear-cut win after the first two quarters. And Tennessee slowly started to pound the ball. They kind of figured out Derrick Henry and how to get him to be a little more productive, and he started to be productive, and that's the reason why they won this game. I think that Seattle had this in the bag, and they just kind of choked it towards the end. Both teams played pretty good. I wouldn't complain about anything. These are high-scoring teams. The offense looked good. The defense looked iffy in some areas, but I think that the Titans deserved this win after that comeback, and I think that Seattle needs to not look at this as a loss and let it get to them. I think they need to look at this as maybe a learning thing for them because they are way better than they showed. It seemed like they just slowed down because they thought they had the win, and then they just choked it away because Derrick Henry was starting to feel himself.
Yep, I think I saw that Derrick Henry in the first half only had like 35 yards, but then they figured it out and he just took off. And
Yeah, well,
kind of like you said, I'm looking at the score breakdown by quarter, and kind of looks like the Seahawks decided like, yeah, we already got it, just kind of slow down, and
yep,
they didn't play the full 60 minutes like the Titans did.
right. And it actually was more than 60 because of overtime.
Yep.
Russell Wilson's still performing good though, and Ryan Tannehill. Obviously, these two quarterbacks are going to perform good. It just comes down to I think it comes down to what we just discussed. The Seahawks gave up after the first two quarters, or kind of let loose a little bit, and they shouldn't have because Tennessee is a very good team, and they shouldn't be taken lightly, especially with that running back over there. So, are you good with this one?
Yep, that's finally finally a really good running back.
Yep, absolutely. He could have put up 300 yards if he had it figured out in the first half. Tennessee Titans win this one 33-30 over the Seattle Seahawks. They are both 1-1 now. This was an overtime game. Let's swing down to the Cowboys and Chargers. The Cowboys look real good. Dak Prescott doing good things. He did throw an interception, but shit happens. Ezekiel Elliott can...
Pretty poor game, I thought, for Dak.
For Dak, yeah, Dak standard, but he only threw the ball 27 times. Generally, he's up in like the high 30s.
Yes.
So
that is true.
I'll say Amari Cooper can be used a lot more. Your receiving isn't... Yeah.
He did get hurt a little bit right at the end. He's actually been questioned the whole week with injured ribs. I just saw it tonight that he is going to play on Monday.
Gotcha.
But he has been questionable. He got taken out right towards the end of the game.
Justin Herbert, he played pretty damn good. 2 interceptions though. Don't do that. Nothing much else to say. Your running backs are performing okay, and your receivers are performing okay. It seems like Keenan Allen is the only person you can kind of get shit to work with, though. But there are...
I'm hopeful for the Cowboys team, but it kind of seems like they're doing what the Vikings are.
They're just winning games.
They're playing to their opponent's level.
Yep.
Like they almost beat the Patriots, or not
the Bucks.
They almost beat the Bucks.
Yep.
They really should have, because I do think that was offensive pass interference in that game. And this time it was close once again with the Chargers. This time they ended up pulling it off.
Yep. So I guess I have nothing much else to say. Chargers had a lot of penalties, 12 for 99. So maybe that could come into play a little bit. Time of possession, everything was good. One more interception thrown by the Chargers, but you know. Uh, Anything else to say past that?
Nope. Let's get out of these last couple.
Yeah, kind of a bland game here. So uh, the Dallas Cowboys take this one 20-17 over the Chargers. Um, Chiefs and Ravens. This one surprised me. Go ahead and take over.
Did surprise me as well. I see that Patrick Mahomes threw an interception. That's pretty rare for him.
Yep.
The Chiefs' running game was basically non-existent, which I know it's kind of the Patrick Mahomes show and he likes to throw the ball, but they have typically had a running game to go on as well.
Yep.
So many weapons for receivers. He threw to Trevor Lawrence, 7 receptions, but that's not much to say. Opposing teams just have to choose which one they're going to double cover, and every single one of those weapons are amazing on the Chiefs.
Yep.
Ravens, a couple more two interceptions for Lamar, and he is still doing his scrambling. He was the top rusher on their team, 2 touchdowns, 107 yards rushing. A little bit ridiculous still in my mind. He's gonna get himself hurt, I think, if he does that, but I mean, it's working for him.
I think he pretty much put it all on his back to get this win over the Chiefs for the first time. He played very, very aggressive, and it paid off for him. Marquis Brown, 6 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty good for a receiver, especially with the scrambling quarter. I don't know. It just seems like this was a sloppy Chiefs against Lamar Jackson, and Lamar came out on top.
Yeah, the Chiefs defense needs to work on it a little bit.
Yep. So
that's pretty much all I got.
Yep.
It was overall a pretty clean game, less than 15 penalties.
Right.
Ravens controlled the clock a little better.
Yep. So I guess in a game that we knew was going to be entertaining and close, the Baltimore Ravens come out on top, 36-35 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams are 1-1. Let's swing over to your Packers, homie. Let me put in my 2 cents, and then you can go. I felt like the Packers played the first 6 quarters of their season like dog shit, and no one knew what was going on. And finally, something clicked at halftime in this game, and they decided that they were going to start playing football.
Yeah, I agree with that. Packers are another team that have a lot of weapons that just were not used at all, apparently, week 1. You got Devontae Adams with 120 receiving yards, no touchdowns, but I mean, he didn't need to get them. He was moving them down the field. Aaron Jones actually got all of their touchdowns, I believe. Nope, Robert Tonyan got one. But that is still just amazing. Aaron Jones.
Incredible.
I was keeping tabs on fantasy, and your sister, my cousin Lisa, has him on her team, I believe, and she was looking like she was going to lose. And all of a sudden, Aaron Jones just took off.
He must have had 30 points in fantasy.
I think he had like 40.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
And she is actually number 1 in our league right now, and that is all thanks to Aaron Jones.
Yep.
The Lions, there's not really much you can say about the Lions.
No, I think what we can decide from the Lions, they're 0-2. Switching quarterbacks was not the play. They made a very dumb decision switching quarterbacks, especially watching Matthew Stafford sitting 2-0, sitting pretty over there. Bad decision making.
Well, I mean, they did have Matthew Stafford's contract, and they are getting. Um, I think they're getting pretty good draft picks in the upcoming years. They're in some kind of rebuilding phase. Granted, they've been rebuilding ever since Megatron left.
Yep. So, yeah, not too much else to say on this for me. The Packers looked really good in the second half. They looked kind of iffy towards the beginning of the game, but it seemed like they got everything oiled up, all their gears oiled up for the second half of this game, and they are probably going to be rolling through people coming up here. You good on this one?
Yep.
All right, so the Green Bay Packers win 35-17 over the Detroit Lions. Packers are 1-1, Lions are 0-2. So yeah, that was this week of football. It is Friday, so the Thursday night game for week 3 already happened. And Luke and I already did our predictions for that. But now we're going to transition into our predictions for this week. This up and coming week. So, Luke picked correctly for the first game. I had the Texans, and I did not get that. And you had the Panthers, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, Chiefs and Chargers. I'm going with the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Okay. We have the Cardinals and the Jags. That's the Cards.
Yes, sir.
Bears and Browns. I'm going Browns.
Yes, sir.
Washington and Bills. That's the Bills.
Agree.
So we're gonna start agreeing to all this shit because we're gonna know these teams like a motherfucker. Colts and Titans. That's
I'm gonna go Titans.
I am as well. And the only reason is because I don't know if the Colts can outperform the running game of the Titans.
Yep.
Saints and Patriots. I'm gonna go with the Patriots here.
I'm gonna try the Saints again.
Okay. Falcons Giants. I'm going Falcons.
Yep, I do think that's gonna be their first win.
Bengals Steelers. I'm gonna go with the Bengals on this one.
I think I'm gonna go with the Bengals too. That the Bengals Steelers is a pretty big rivalry, and I think that one's gonna get kind of scrappy.
Yep. Ravens Lions. That is Ravens.
Yep.
Jets and Broncos. Broncos.
Yep.
Dolphins Raiders. Raiders.
Yep.
Bucks Rams. I am gonna go with the Rams on this one.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks.
Okay. Seahawks Vikings.
Seahawks.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go. I gotta go with the Vikings, but I think I'm actually going with the Vikings. Does that make sense? I think they actually could. Packers Niners. This one I'll go with the Packers. Yep.
Yeah, 49ers seem to be the downfall of the Packers, though, in the past few years. I hope the Packers win, and I'm going to vote for them, but
Yep.
big, I don't know.
Eagles Cowboys. This one's easy for me. I'm going with Dallas.
Yes, sir.
All right, so those are our fucking predictions. Luke won the Thursday night game one. Anyway, so that was week 2 of the Huge Sack podcast. And we will be back for week 3. I'm not sure when it's going to get uploaded, but thank you for watching and listening or doing whatever you're doing. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button on my YouTube. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, NuggetHole24, YouTube, NuggetHole24. I also have Instagram and Twitter and Facebook if you want to follow me on those as well. Thank you so much again. Luke, thanks for doing this with me. I appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.